Well, I guess it started from just food that I really liked. Probably about 10 years ago, I started with, I was riding my bike with this guy a lot, and then we'd ride on Mondays, and then afterwards we'd watch Monday Night Football. And then one day, he had a fryer and he made some chicken wings. I was like, whoa, you can make chicken wings by, you don't have to just go buy them from the store? I thought that was the most amazing thing. And then I just started frying other things, and I just started building my repertoire of that kind of stuff. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I figured, I bet I could put all these together in a cookbook. And so I thought about how I'd put together the structure, like on your sheet, like basically the theme. So I thought about the theme, and as you saw, the book is laid out. There's one spread per football team. So it's 32 spreads. And then it turned out to be 68 recipes. So that was the theme. And then I went through and I just wrote down a list of every single thing I think I could deep fry. And then I started trying to place them with teams kind of thematically. Like Washington Redskins. One of the recipes is red bell peppers with some stuff, so they have a red skin kind of thing. So that kind of theme, I tried to make a theme. So then my next step, like I said, was listing all the recipes and then just trying to match them with teams. So I had this little spreadsheet of that. And then when I felt as if that was a good spread, I just typed in there good. So you see on this copy, they finally all say good. And then over the next 2 years, it took about 2 years, then I took one team a week, and I'd make a test sheet. So in here I've got all these test sheets. It's kind of like a rough draft of the recipe, but I left a lot of the sizes blank. And so I'd test in, I'd do one batch, I'm like, no, it needs a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that, whatever. And then I came up with what it would finally be. And these are kind of fun to go back and look at now because there's stuff all splattered all over them. It's really neat. So then that process, so that took about 2 years, and every year, every one I'd check off, and I got to the end, and then I started compiling them. And that's about the process that I could kind of think through. And I didn't really think how much work it would be after that. And that took probably another 1.5 years of just messing around with it. But then just talking about format. And then this is one of the first actual printouts of it. And I wanted it to make it kind of feel like a book. So I glued the pages together. That's why it feels all funny. But then I had to get to this point, and I went through and I wrote. Oh, I guess there's another version slightly before this that wasn't color. You could see on that one that all the page numbers are handwritten on there. For me, it was really difficult to do the table of contents you're going to do and the index. Anyway, that was kind of. But then getting to the actual publishing part, I wish I would have thought through that at the very beginning. So you right now, think through what you want it to look like at the very end. I just kind of, when I started, I went to Barnes & Noble and looked at some cookbooks and kind of measured them, kind of see what size. Well, it turns out publishers, they're a little different on their requirements. That was kind of a pain. I ended up having to reformat every single page, and that just took weeks. And it was weird because there were some companies that charged very little, like they were good prices for color, but the format was really weird for me. And then other companies, like the formats, they were pretty open on the size, but they were pretty demanding on their color requirements. So it was hard to, I wish I would have picked that company at the very beginning. So here's a rough draft. So just be nice to this, you can kind of see. Oh, once I got to this point, I went and talked with someone who she's retired now, but she used to proof cookbooks and test recipes for Campbell's. And she went through and did some editing for me. And that was real nice, just kind of some of the wording. Like stuff that made sense to me doesn't make sense to the professional kind of stuff in the room. So she really helped me with verbiage, so you can kind of see that. We'll pass it around. About the second round, it starts to look a little bit more like a book. But still, even after like the second or third, it's amazing how many format, like getting everything. Well, I guess this one was the one before that. This is the one I was saying, like all the page numbers. It's really funny on this one. If you go to the table of contents, everything's on page 3. So then I just had to go back and figure out what page everything's really on. So that was kind of a tricky part. And then I ended up having to make it an index. So this is actually one of the first ones, and that's the second. Then there was all that editing of formatting that I was telling you about. And this is kind of one of the first proof copies. And it's amazing, even to this point, how much editing then there was still left. Like every time I would send it off to her, and I would, do some of my own edits. And it's just amazing, like how often, like that one just got butchered. Not literally. Yeah.
You took all the pictures yourself?
Yeah. So all of these pictures, I took them. These are all in my garage. I'm like, ooh, that's my hand. Okay. One of the requirements on yours is the autobiography part. I didn't do that, and I'm kind of bummed. Like, I did a little bit of info here, but I really wish I would have put like, a little about the author, a little more, like, hey, my picture.
Because think about all the years he spent. He spent a
Yeah.
lot of his time. He should, you want it at that point.
Yeah, so the inception of this was probably, about 8 years ago. But look, that little picture right there is the only picture in my book. That's it. It's a little tiny picture. So just keep that in mind. So this one's kind of special for me because this is the proof copy. This is the one that's actually got published. It's kind of so be nice to this one. So I published it like in beginning of August. Last I checked, I had 29 sales. I haven't started any promotions. Next month I have a book signing. So I'll start. Yeah, so that should start generating sales, and I'm gonna try to do some some radio promotions and stuff. But so now that's the next layer that I have to figure out is promotional stuff. So I'm working on that. All right, what other questions?
Give him a huge hand.